and welcome back to the 25 days of Christmas. Today we are going to be making a squash mac and cheese, in quotations, cheese. And this is a recipe that my boys love, so I am making this for them. I will not be eating it because it does have a whole grain pasta in it, but they will absolutely love it. Now, I want you to go down below into the comment section and let us know what kind of side dish recipes you cook up for your holiday meal, because I know mac and cheese is one of those favorites that a lot of people cook up, and this is just a vegan, whole food, plant-based alternative to that recipe. While you're down there, make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that little notification bell so that you know whenever we're coming out with new videos. And of course, we're gonna have one for 25 days for the 25 days of Christmas. So we'll have one every day, 25 days. Okay, before we get deep into this recipe, I just wanna mention that V and I do have programs that help women who are struggling with their weight and weight loss. So if you would like to learn more about whole food, plant-based wellness and weight loss, go over to kindredveganscom and check out our website. And you can also just email us at kindredvegans@gmail.com, and you can schedule your free health check phone call where we kind of help you identify problem areas and work on your goals, and we give you a few pointers to help you along your way. All right, so now let's get into this recipe. I have an acorn squash here that I've just cut sort of in half, although one half is a bit smaller than the other half. And I have washed it well, the skin, and I'll tell you why, because after I hollow this out, I will put this in the freezer, and then this will go into my broth. These kind of skins, after we use the pulp and everything, will be great for broth. But first, you need to cut it out. And we're gonna also be roasting, so I'll tell you a little bit about roasting your vegetables here for those that aren't familiar with roasting. I have my oven preheating to 400 degrees, so when you're roasting, you want it at a little bit of a higher temperature than baking. And we are not adding oil or anything because we're doing whole food, plant-based, no oil. So this is what I'm gonna be doing. Just hollow it out, and I'm gonna put it on a silicone sheet-lined baking pan. So it's got one of those silicone sheets in the bottom, like this. And this is how I'm gonna put it in the oven. I'm not adding any oil or seasonings because this is going into the mac and cheese. But if you're gonna use this for something else, or you just wanna eat it, a little bit of salt and pepper is great on here. You can also pre-cook these most of the way, and then you can stuff them. I've done that before. Cook up some onion, bell pepper.
We have a recipe.
Yeah,
on
maybe
our channel.
add some tomatoes or something, and then you could add rice or some cooked wheat berries or something. Stuff this, pop it back in the oven with some nutritional yeast on top, and it's delicious. But I'm just gonna roast these today. So I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees. I'm gonna pop this in the middle of the oven, just as it is. So not the top rack, but we want the middle rack. And then I am gonna set my timer for about 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna check it. It will probably take longer, but I'm gonna check it at 20 minutes to be sure, and we'll be back. Okay, so now part of our squash mac and cheese recipe is the veggie loaded sauce. I already have this made, but I will put a link down below for the recipe for this, and it is delicious. And it's just loaded vegetables. It's red because it's got tomatoes and it's got red bell pepper in it and carrots, but it's just loaded with vegetables, and it just adds so much flavor to the cheese sauce that we're making. So I will put this down below, but for the sauce, we don't have the acorn yet, the acorn squash yet, but we're gonna make up the rest of the sauce. So I need a cup of this, but I also need some water. Here, I'm gonna pour a little water in here because I know I'm gonna need it. And then I'm gonna dump out the rest because I need a cup of the veggie loaded sauce. So I'm gonna add that. Doesn't it look so good? So thick. I tell you, having that on hand at the house is so handy.
It's quick to whip up things with that sauce.
Although,
ready.
you know, V, I'm gonna need a bigger. Okay, we're gonna take a second break here because I'm gonna need a bigger
blender.
All right. Okay, so we've switched over, have a bigger container now, so it will fit everything. I have these are pre-cooked potatoes, and I am just going to chop them up just so they will all fit in here. I did not take the skins off of these potatoes because the skins are very thin and they will blend up in there. But if you have, you know, potatoes that have a little bit of a thicker skin, by all means, you know, peel them. And then we'll get to our seasonings. Okay, so I need a teaspoon of, where are my spoons? Here they are. A teaspoon of onion powder, a teaspoon of garlic powder. Here's a teaspoon of onion. There's the garlic. Let me grab salt and pepper. Okay, I need a teaspoon and a half of salt. Teaspoon and a half of salt.
You are by the book with the spices, aren't you?
I'm trying. People need to know how to recreate it, so I try to measure when I'm making the recipe. You know what I mean? That way people can recreate the recipe. Salt, pepper, I need a 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast, which I have here. There. Okay, this is gonna be noisy because I'm gonna blend this up, and I put about a 1/2 cup of water in there, but I'll let you know if I need to add any more water. Okay, so this is the cheese sauce, which is really good on its own. This was cold because my potatoes were cold, so I would probably heat it up on the stove or microwave it for a little bit if I were going to use this on vegetables. This is great on like cooked broccoli or cauliflower or anything like that. You know, it's just, you know, part of the starchy part of your plate because it's just potatoes. You know, there's no cashews in it or anything like that. So that is the cheese sauce, which I will also... This recipe is on our YouTube channel too, so I will link that down below as well. And then we're gonna wait for the squash, and then we'll get ready to put everything together. We'll cook up the pasta. Here, let me show you the pasta first before I cook it up. This is the only kind of pasta I use, and I'll tell you, well, I use a rice pasta as well, but this is the only kind of wheat pasta I use. And it's because, where is it? Right there. The ingredients, it's whole durum wheat. It's just wheat flour. And wheat flour and water is it. So this is the pasta that I use, and I don't eat pasta but maybe once every month or two. So like I said, but I do cook pasta for my family, so this is what I will be using. So I'm gonna heat up the water and then we'll be back. Right, so I checked it at 20 minutes, the squash, and it still needed time, so I put it in for another 20 minutes. And now I'm gonna take it out and show you because it's perfect. And you can see it's starting to brown. And the skin turned dark, and it's just, you can see it's nice and soft and squishable, which is what we want because we're gonna mash this up in our sauce. So I am gonna let that sit here for now and just sit. And I've got water boiling for the pasta. So this is, I already showed you this, the whole durum wheat, just wheat pasta. Add this box of pasta, give it a quick stir, and in 10 to 15 minutes this will be done. So we will be back when this is finished. All right, so this is the roasted squash, and you can see it's coming away from the edge quite nicely. If you let it sit longer, it will just pull away completely from the edge. But I'm just gonna pull it away here. You can see how nice roasted that is. It's still got some of the color from the top. And you can do any of your vegetables like this. You can put them in to roast. I'm gonna bring it over here. Put these in the oven at 390 to 400 degrees for however long. Potatoes and stuff, maybe 30 minutes, depending on the size. If you cut them up in small chunks, they probably only need 15 to 20 minutes to roast. Other root vegetables are always, I think, great to roast because you get brings out a lot of the sweetness from the vegetable when you roast it. It like caramelizes some of the sugars in there or something, and it just tastes so nice. And then like I said, will put this in the freezer and use it in my broth next time I make broth. That's what I will do because they're nice and clean. And this, I'm just gonna make sure I've got all my big chunks, you know, nicely mashed, because you want the squash to be part of the sauce. I mean, you'll have a little bit of chunks of sauce in there, but not a lot. You just want it to mix up in the sauce really well. So I'm just making sure. All right, now let's add in the other ingredients for the cheese sauce for the mac and cheese. So I have a heaping tablespoon of Dijon mustard, which I've kind of gotten everywhere, which is what my little tiny spatula is for. And this is Dijon mustard. It just adds a little bit of a kick or a little bit of, I don't know, mustardiness. Is that a word?
We can make it a word.
To the dish.
It just breaks up adding the tang to everything just kind of brings it together because everything is dense. So you need something citrusy or something like that to break it up. It just enhances, it just enhances the taste.
I don't know. I just know I like it. So, all right.
It brightens it up.
I'm going to add a little bit more garlic powder to this. I know we've added some to our cheese sauce, but I probably will not use all of this cheese sauce. I will save some for my vegetables and stuff. So I'm going to use a teaspoon of garlic and onion powder in here, and then a half a teaspoon of pepper. I'll probably use less. I think I'm going to use just a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and just a half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm going to add another 1/4 cup of nutritional yeast to this, and then we're going to add some of the cheese sauce we made earlier to the recipe as well. So I'm going to start off by adding a cup of that cheese sauce.
Man, those colors are going perfectly together.
Yes. And if you haven't noticed V's dish here,
so pretty.
Isn't the dish real pretty? So I have, let me get that out of here. I have a cup of the cheese sauce we made earlier. I'm going to mix this all up, and I will add in the pasta when it's done. And actually, I think a cup of this is really good. Now I'm making your plate look not so.
That's okay.
Not so pretty. I will clean it up, I promise. Actually, I'm going to add another half a cup of cheese sauce, so that's a 1.5 cups.
And we'll put everything in the description below, so you don't need to worry about it.
So it's a 1.5 cups of my squash cheese sauce. And my kids love this. This started out as a recipe that had dairy in it. And this was a way to cut the dairy down, was to add the squash. And then I just slowly replaced the dairy, with my cheese sauce. And my kids love it. So
it looks really good too. It looks very cheesy in color.
Yep.
And it looks very creamy.
And then once we add the pasta, we'll be able to see if we need more cheese sauce in here or not.
No.
Okay, so this is the sauce for now. I'm waiting for the pasta to cook. It's on the stove, and we will be back when that's ready. Okay, so the pasta is cooked. I'm gonna strain it now. Then we can add it to our cheese sauce. Hold on, fogging up my glasses. That's the one bad thing about wearing glasses. There. Now I'm going to add this pasta just a little bit of time and just keep mixing until I have what I want here. And this was the 1 pound box of pasta. And I just keep mixing it up. That's another thing I can get you for Christmas is a set of big mixing bowls. Oh, you can really start to smell it good now. And since the cheese sauce in this was not hot, you can put this into a baking dish and just bake it at 350 degrees.
Yeah.
For 350 degrees for like 20 minutes, and and it'll heat everything up. And I usually sprinkle a little bit of nutritional yeast on it before I pop it in the oven. It just looks really good.
Yeah.
Adds a little bit of flavor there on top. I am going to add just a little bit more. So that'd be 2 cups of the cheese sauce. Add a little bit more there.
That noise.
And I think that looks good, and that will be plenty for my family tonight. And I will probably make a salad to go along with this for them, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I will have some air fried potatoes with the salad or something like that. You know, once you eat the way we do, it's like it doesn't even tempt, you know what I mean? You don't have those cravings, or seeing this kind of food doesn't really tempt me to want to eat it, you know?
Yeah.
You kind of lose those cravings and stuff when you're eating whole food. And there you have it. Doesn't that look delicious? And I used almost all the pasta. There's a little bit left in there, but you could probably put it in if you wanted to. But I like it to have a nice amount of squashy sauciness to it. So that is the squash mac and cheese. Here, let me get a bowl. And I can plate a little bowl up for you. And it actually, because the pasta was really hot and the squash was really hot, you know, I can see the steam coming off of it. It's nice and hot. So we hope you enjoy this for the 25 days of Christmas, and this is a great substitution for the more traditional mac and cheese that's on your Christmas dinner plate. And make sure you go over to kindredveganscom and sign up for your newsletter, because we give, you know, bonus recipes and tips and tricks in our newsletter monthly, and we would love to have you join us. Make sure you're on our free Facebook group, which is Whole Food Plant-Based Health and Weight Loss with Kindred Vegans. Over there, it's a free Facebook group. We give lots of content. We go live in the group, and there are lots of women over there too that are in the same situation as we are. So we will see you tomorrow for more of the 25 days of Christmas.